We do have Jeff Allen on. He's doing amazing work. He was a CNN hero. I think he's still a hero. Him and his wife doing amazing work, helping these dogs that have been through the ringer in plain English, to say the least, and making them live their best lives. It's a monkey's house is the place. You can donate to them. Jeff will give out all that information as we start the interview, and then we're going to talk about a new book he's written, and also kind of do a little refresh on the old book that he's written. He's got two older books, and I have one of them. And while you're talking, I'm going to try to get up and see if I can pull one of them out of my stack if I got it. But anyways, regardless, Jeff Allen, thanks so much. Monkey's House and the new book, Leashes in Heaven. Really appreciate having you on again.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me on. It's always great to be able to come on and talk about Monkey's House. Like you said, Monkey's House, it's actually Monkey's House Dog Hospice and Sanctuary. Mm-hmm. And we started it in 2015 because there was a lack of resources for hospice dogs, like dogs that are old with terminal diagnoses. They were being all euthanized. So we started, we have little 6 acres here. We started our nonprofit, and we have anywhere from 20 to 30 dogs, generally around 25 dogs, a little less right now. But we bring them here and they live out their final chapter the best possible, getting food therapy, all the vet care they need. They go on field trips to the Jersey Shore because we're in New Jersey, all the fun stuff. And from that, I just started writing more about the dogs and thinking about the dogs. And like I said, I started writing books. Later in life, I started my author career.
Well, you're doing amazing work. And I know your wife was a nurse or still is a nurse, and she does help a lot of these dogs that have all different types of allergies or illnesses. And like you said, they're trying to live out their best life. So, educate the audience that hasn't heard about you or Monkey's House a little bit about the great things that you guys do, because you have all 20, 30 dogs and they all have different ailments or issues that you're taking care of. So like you said, they can live out their best lives.
You're right, Rob. My wife, well, she's retired now, but she was a critical care nurse, which really helped in this endeavor. Always a big animal lover. We used to have horses years ago, and always dogs and cats, and you name it, chickens. But so what happened was, like I said, we were fostering dogs years ago. We started fostering them, and then they realized that my wife could almost work miracles with these dogs. So the different shelters would say, "Hey, can you take this sick dog, or can you take this sick dog?" At one point, we were up to 9 dogs of either our own and fostering, and we said, really to help more dogs, we needed to become a nonprofit, and that's when we started that. But we'll get dogs, like you said, they have cancer, they have liver disease, kidneys, you name it, and they have it. We bring them in here. Each one gets a tailored meal based on their ailments, because and there's a base food of, it could be rabbit, could be beef, chicken, turkey, you name it. And then they get supplements. They still get traditional medicine as well if they need it. But a lot of times we see that traditional medicine can be either eliminated or reduced based on the healthy food that they're getting.
I just want to get this to the audience too. This is all very expensive. And I know as a nonprofit, you do work off donations and volunteers, people coming in to help you out. It's only a two man and woman show here with you and your wife. But talk about, how you guys run this as a nonprofit so people can help out if they want to, and also volunteer if they're in your neck of the woods of New Jersey.
Yeah, so that's right. We do have what we call our aunts and uncles. They're our volunteers. So we have people come over and they'll help with breakfast, or they'll help with dinner, or they help walking the dogs. They'll go on field trips with us. So they could go to monkeyshouse.org. That's MONKEYSHOUSE, one word, .org. And there's an application there for volunteers. There's also, like you said, this is very expensive. You can imagine the vet bills and everything else. We get discounts from a lot of the providers, but still very expensive. So any donations are helpful. We also have an Amazon wish list that has some supplies that we need, and that's all on the website. They can find it. We also do a post every night on Facebook. So we're big. That's our big platform. We have almost 100,000 people now on Facebook following us from around the world. And that's where we post every night. My wife is very educational in her posts. So if somebody has an older dog that may be starting to slip, it's great to get on and see some of her posts. I'm usually the guy who's kind of having some fun and talk about the fun I took with some of the dogs and did different things.
For people, again, that haven't heard of Monkey's House, can you talk a little bit, just going into your book career now, where dogs go to live as far as that goes? One of those books, first books that you have written, and people looking at the screen will see that.
Yeah, that's my first book, Where Dogs Go to Live. And I started this in 2000. I published it in 2020. I started probably back in 2018. And the reason I started writing was to give these dogs a story, to tell their story. Because these dogs, you think about it, sadly, they were dumped at the shelter. We rescued them. If we didn't rescue them, they would have been walked into the back, never to be seen again, if you know what I mean. So I told 37 of the dog stories in there. And I always try to make my books. Some people say, are they sad? I said, no, there's not sad. I mean, there's sad parts, but I try to make it a sort of a emotional roller coaster, right? So you got your ups and downs, but in the end, it's very inspiring of how we treat these dogs and how they live out the remainder of their lives.
What would you tell people that are looking to get a dog? This was big during COVID, where people were locked down and they did get dogs, and hopefully they kept them. We hope, but as far as a lot of people want the puppies, they want this certain type of dog that it could be like a fad. I know the kind of the dog that everybody is like, the Frenchie, the bulldog. That's something that people want. But in general, what would you tell people that are listening to this as far as getting dogs that are maybe the senior dogs, or maybe the dog has some kind of ailment? It's not as good looking. I know that's not the politically correct term, but as maybe a dog that's like a golden retriever lab or something like that. Tell the viewers about that, because these dogs that they know that they were dropped off, they know that they have a sickness. And when you communicate with these dogs that you love them, like any dog in general, they'll give you their heart, their soul, and they will become your everything.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's funny that these dogs, and as soon as we bring them in a very short period of time, these dogs are like, we're like been their person for their whole life, because they appreciate what you do for them. And let me tell you, these senior dogs, they're not chewing on your furniture. They're not chewing your shoes up, right? They're not having, well, sometimes when they get older, they have accidents, but they don't have as many accidents. So you have to train them. They just seem to be more grateful. And most of us are not young, or I'm a little bit older. I guess most people probably aren't real young. They might not have time either, right? People are working, people are busy. The older dogs, that's fine, because they just like to, for a while, they'll lay down all day and you get up, take a little walk with them, take them outside. It's a great, senior dogs are really good.
Again, Jeff, and for people listening, he's got 3 books out. We talked about one of them already. We're going to talk about the last 2 now. Let's talk about that second book. That is that coffee table book. If you could just go through people, I know there's quotes, famous quotes that you got. All these dogs, you've really helped live that great life till the end.
Yeah, and this is the coffee table book. It's Life's a Dog Bone, Chew It All Day Long. There's also a music video I produced. It's animated with some of the dogs singing. Same title. You could find it on YouTube. Life's a Dog Bone, Chew It All Day Long. Song parody from Tom Cochran, Life's a Highway. But what I really love about this book, you look at these pictures, these do not look like hospice dogs when you flip through this book. And it's got great quotes to some of them are funny, some are inspiring. It's just a really good book to have on your coffee table to just flip through once in a while. People come over, I'm sure they'll pick this up and take a look at it.
Let's speak about the last book, the new book you have out, Leashes in Heaven. It's a new book. Just tell the viewers a little bit about it, what the story's about, and how they can get it.
So Leashes in Heaven, that's different from my other 2 books. My other 2 books are nonfiction, obviously, because I'm really talking about The Where Dogs Go to Live really talks about Monkey's House and all the dogs. Obviously, the coffee table book is pictures of our dogs. This Leashes in Heaven is my first fiction novel. It's a love story. I'd almost call it romance, but I would say it's more of a love story. It almost is like not the storyline, The Notebook. If anybody ever saw The Notebook or heard about The Notebook, it's a lot like that. It starts out with an older couple, but it goes back in time quite a bit. But again, a lot of dogs in the book. I can't leave the dogs out, and I get a lot of these personalities from our dogs. And if they fit into the script, I wrote them into the script. It's fiction, and you'll definitely see how it's fiction when you get halfway through it. But you can get this book and all my books on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, anywhere they sell books. These are available. Also, I actually have a new author's website since I saw you last. It's called jeffallenbooks.com. So you'll see everything out there about all three of these books at jeffallenbooks.com.
Can you just give the people listening a little bit of a synopsis about? I know you said it's a kind of a romance novel. It's a little bit about older couple, and you do talk about some of the dogs and their personalities that you've dealt with over time. A little bit of a synopsis about what it's about. We don't want to ruin it for everybody. We do want them to read the book.
Yeah. So, and I have a synopsis back here, but I'll give you a synopsis of it. So, as the title says, maybe that kind of gives it a little bit of a way, right? It's the older gentleman wakes up. He's in his 80s, and he's running a dog sanctuary, but he also has some health issues going on. He used to be married. His wife has passed 10 years ago, and his niece is with him, helping him because he has to go into the hospital for a procedure. But during that procedure, he has some issues. Ends up in visiting his wife and the dogs that are in heaven. So that's about as far as I'll take it. But right. What is good about it is I'm going to tell you a story that's in September on Labor Day. I had a heart incident in real life. I wasn't supposed to make it, and I'm here now. Thankfully, I'm here. I'm 100% better. But when I was on the gurney and they took me into the operating room, I was waiting there before I really got into the room. And the one thing, the book was done, the manuscript was done, but it wasn't finished totally. It was September. And here's the weird thing. Instead of praying that, God, please make me better, for some reason, I said, you know what? If you're taking me into heaven, please make heaven like I wrote it in the book. And maybe that gives you a hint of what the book is like, because heaven in my book is the way we all would want it to be.
As a person that struggled with a dog passing away after 13 years, 11 of them with me, how do you deal with that? I know these dogs, some are with you for a longer time, some of them are with you for a shorter time, but you're always taking care of these dogs. Your wife, other people are taking care of these dogs. These dogs depend on you. They love you and the volunteers, the aunts and uncles. How do you guys deal with that when that dog passes away? You spend so much money, love, and attention on that, making that dog as well as possible and to have a fun life until they do pass.
It's really hard, Rob. As my wife said, one time somebody asked her this question. I think she was on the Hallmark Channel, and they asked her that question. And she says, the day that my heart doesn't break is the day I will quit, right? Because we're and I think some people think, well, you have so many dogs and you do this, it's not going to hurt you as much. It hurts just as much as it did for you, or it did for the people watching if they lose a dog. It really does. As a matter of fact, we lost 5 dogs in the past 2 months. And wow. I tell you, my wife was devastated. I was devastated. And we're just bringing a few more in now, because obviously there's room for some more. It's, what? It's like I said before, if we don't do it, they end up getting euthanized. Like, someone has to do it. And we're willing to take that pain and that burden because the love overwhelms that.
Can you talk about some of the success stories that you've had? We've kind of talked about the pain of, 5 dogs in 2 months, and that's very traumatic for anybody that loves animals, but dogs especially with you that you take care of. Talk about, tell the viewers before we end the broadcast about some of the success stories you had throughout your time of Monkey's House. Excuse me.
Oh, sure. Well, I'll start right with the guy, Monkey. Monkey is the inspiration for Monkey's House. He was a little Heinz 57 mixed dog, right? And the vet said, well, we were supposed to be fostering him. And the vet said, just take him home and let him rest. He's going to be gone in about a month. And my wife says, no, he just needs some meds because she's taken care of dogs before because he had a really bad heart. He just needs these simple meds, which were like $8 at Walmart or something. And the vet said, no. So my wife said, that's it. We adopted Monkey. We got him the meds. He lived 17 vibrant months here, running around. Towards the end, he slowed down, of course. But that's an example. We've gotten so many dogs in where the shelter vet said, oh, they only have a couple of months to live. 2 years later, Buck was over 4 years later. He had everything wrong with him, but he loved taking walks on the beach. He loved driving with my wife. He was with my wife all the time. It's amazing to see. These dogs are not like what we would be. If the doctor gave us a terminal diagnosis, a lot of people would probably be all depressed. They might not live those last 3-6 months of their lives because they're going to be so depressed. These dogs, they live every day, and we enjoy living it with them.
Yeah, you're doing amazing work. Again, Jeff Allen, Monkey's House. But tell people where they can find, more again about Monkey's House, if donate, volunteer. I know we went through it at the beginning, but it's important to get it throughout the interview, and also to grab all 3 of those books, where they can find you. Give all the websites, everything out again.
Sure, I'll give you a couple websites. One is monkeyshouse.org. Monkeyshouse.org. That's our organization. You'll find some information about it. There's also a link there to Facebook. I think it's Facebook Monkey's House, which is where we post, and that's where most of our posting and activities go. If you're looking for the books, obviously they're on Amazon or wherever, but you could just go to jeffallenbooks.com, and they're all 3 right there, and it gives you a little information, a little background on me. So jeffallenbooks.com.
JeffAllenBooks.com. Now, is it vice versa? They can go through the monkeyshouse.org to Jeff Allen Books. Is there links there or no?
Like I said, I just got the site up, so there aren't links there yet.
Okay.
Before I really wanted to drive traffic to Monkey's House because I still do.
Right, of course.
But now, I got advised that, it's about time I had a author website with 3 books out, and I have another book in my head coming out. So, and I'm starting to veer away from, like I said, this was a fiction novel, so I'm kind of veering away from it. The Monkey's House books right now. But like I told people, there'll always be dogs in my books, and there'll always be Monkey's House dogs. The personalities will be in my books.
And JeffAllenBooks.com, monkeyhouse.org. Definitely check it out. You can get the 3 books at JeffAllenBooks.com. Jeff, first of all, thanks so much for doing what you're doing. You do amazing work, and I'm very appreciative to, have met you a year or 2 ago, whenever it may be, and for you always to come on the program and spread the great news of what you're doing at Monkey's House, monkeyshouse.org, JeffAllenBooks.com. Jeff, thanks so much.
Thank you, Rob.